Solo Spider 24 and Ice Golem 24 with this guy. What is going on, Raiders? Soda Dragon here, bringing you the only high-level Spider solo champ that I know of, Tyrant Ixlimor. So because of his affinity, he can only solo Spider 24, which is still pretty good. There are no other champs that I know of that can solo Spider 24. And right now, I don't know of any champs that can solo Spider 25. And he can also solo Ice Golem 24. Now, he cannot solo Ice Golem 25 because of the same weak affinity issues that he had with Spider 25. But we're talking the same champ with the same gear that can solo 2 level 24 dungeons. If you guys are looking for solo champs or teams to beat those high level dungeons, then make sure to check out my channel. I have videos on all of them. Alright guys, on to Tyrant. So how does he work for Spider? Well, in Spider 24, Tyrant is the strong affinity and the Spider and the Spiderlings are the weak affinity to him. Now that's a big deal because they are going to weak hit a lot, meaning they're going to do a lot less damage and not transfer their debuffs over to Tyrant. That being said, this boss does a ridiculous ton of damage, and this boss doesn't always weak hit, and the Spiderlings don't always weak hit. The big thing is we want to avoid the poisons of the Spiderlings. So just to make sure we don't get any poisons on our Tyrant, or as little as possible, we're building our Tyrant with very high resist. Next, to deal with all that raw damage, we're going to need a ton of HP and defense. So regeneration and an immortal set are pretty much a prerequisite to solo with Tyrant here. And to make sure we get the heals off from that regeneration and immortal set, we're going to need to make our Tyrant very fast. The more he takes turns, the more he regenerates his health. Tyrant does have a strong version increased defense buff, which he puts on himself, which helps out a lot. And lastly, we need enough accuracy to land his AoE HP burn, which is how we're going to kill the main Spider. Even though that main Spider will be healing itself every other turn, it won't be able to keep up with the damage that we inflict with Tyrant through his AoE HP burns to all those Spiderlings. So I'm going to go through Tyrant's gear stats and masteries later, but this is an end game build. If you don't have excellent regeneration gear and excellent immortal pieces, you will not be able to make this work. This is not an easy build. That being said, if you're end game and you got Tyrant, he can solo 2 stage 24 dungeons for you. So Tyrant does not have any skill instructions. That means you don't have to go into this team setup menu, find him, and input and take out your chickens. It's much easier. Just input your chickens from the main menu here. So as far as Spider 24, your run is going to take about 2 to 3 minutes, which is actually really good. Think about it. There are no cold hearts here, enemy max HP champs. It's just Tyrant tanking all that damage and putting those AoE HP burns up. So you're looking at about 2 to 3 minutes. Very reasonable for a solo. One important thing to note is that Tyrant does have the mastery Spirit Haste, so he gets a +8 speed boost whenever an ally dies. So it's almost imperative that you bring in chicken champs that die off early, so Tyrant gets that +24 max speed boost. He really needs that. And I know most of you would probably use them that way, meaning you would level up chicken champs and farm gear at the same time, which is good. I'm just telling you, that Spirit Haste really matters, so bring in at least 3 chicken champs with your Tyrant. Alright guys, so since there are no skill instructions, all you need to do is make sure Tyrant is in that lead position to get that HP percentage bonus. Put in your chicken champs and you press start. That's it. So for Ice Golem 24, the setup is the same as in Spider 24. That is, it's minimal. Just make sure Tyrant is in the lead so he gets that HP percentage bonus. And no skill instructions, and just make sure you have at least 3 chicken champs so he gets that full spirit haste bonus. And that is it. Press start and you're good. Onto Tyrant's gear stats and masteries. So how have I geared him? I have him in an immortal set and a regeneration set. So can 3 immortal sets do the job here instead of a regeneration plus an immortal set? In my opinion, no, especially when it comes to the stage 24s. Now, if you're talking stage 20s, yes, you might be able to get away with 3 immortal sets. But for stage 24s, I don't believe 3 immortal sets are good enough. But hey, maybe you got absolutely excellent immortal sets. But that's just my opinion from my perspective and my gear. Onto his total stats. So I have his HP at 69,000. I have the attack at 1,300. I have the defense 3,700, speed 256, crit rate 40%, crit damage 88%, resist 399, and accuracy 246. So here are the minimums that you probably want to shoot for. So I would say for HP you want at least 70k. I didn't say I have the perfect setup. My setup works, but this is what I think you should shoot for. Now defense, I think you should look at getting 4k defense. Speed at least 255. and the resist plus 300, accuracy plus 200. And as far as books, if you're going to solo the 24 stages, I definitely think you have to have the A2 booked out here and the A3. Now with stage 20s, you may be able to get away without booking your Tyrant. Onto his masteries, and the most important ones are down the support tree. So here, we do have rapid response, so we get a chance to get a turn meter boost when a buff falls off, that increased defense buff that he has. And here we have arcane celerity, so we have a chance to increase turn meter when a debuff falls off, that is all those HP burns. Down here we have lasting gifts, so we potentially extend the duration of that increased defense buff. Really, really important for Tyrant because he's tanking all that damage. Here we have Spirit Haste, like I mentioned, when an ally dies, he gets a speed boost. 8 per dead ally, up to 24. Really, really important. And lastly, here we have Oppressor. So the more debuffs that he throws out there, the faster his turn meter fills. Alright guys, that is it for the Tyrant build to solo Ice Golem 24 and Spider 24. Like I mentioned, there are no champions that I know of that can solo any high level Spider stages except for this guy. So as far as right now, Tyrant is the solo god of the Spider's Den. And if you guys haven't yet, like, subscribe, and share, turn on all notifications, stay safe, and I will see you guys in the next video.